Hello everyone, this is Dan, your resident Digimon fan. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic which I've been doing some research on, which is amongst the various Digimon groups, how well are they represented amongst the various DIM cards and BE memories available for the Vital Bracelet. When I refer to Digimon groups, I am talking about Digimon that are actually grouped into sort of teams or various variety groups of Digimon as described by manga, anime, video games, and things like that. So specifically, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Digimon such as the Legendary Warriors, the Royal Knights, the Olympus 12, things like that. So there's about 8 groups on this list, and we're going to be going from the least represented to most represented, and I'll be going through in each stage telling you where you can find the Digimon from those groups amongst the various DIM cards. So let's make a start with our last place group. In last place are the Digimon Sovereigns. So you may recognize the Digimon Sovereigns from Digimon Survive. They did play a key part of the story, and there are 4 or technically 5 Sovereigns, if you consider Fanglamon an additional Sovereign, but they are Baihumon, Zhuchaomon, Azulongmon, and Ibunwamon. Now they don't feature in any of the DIM cards at all, so they have a 0% representation amongst the DIM cards, so you will not find the Digimon Sovereigns anywhere in any of the DIMs. Coming in the next spot, we have a group I hadn't even heard of before I started doing research for this video, and that is the Three Musketeers, which apparently contains Beelstarmon, Gundramon, and Magna Kidmon. So 3 pretty cool Digimon, and of the 3 Musketeers, you can actually find 2 of them. So if we were going purely based on percentages, these guys would actually be higher up the list, but then that wouldn't be a very fair list, I would say. Of the ones that you can get, Gundramon is actually not available right now, but he will be coming out in the upcoming Doraemon B memory, and Magna Kidmon can currently be obtained from the Dragonic Blaze DIM. So 2 out of 3, not too bad. Next up, we have another group with only 2 represented, and that is the Digimon Celestials. So there are actually 3 Celestials, but there are technically 6 if you include all of their alternate forms. So that means we've got Seraphimon and Shadow Seraphimon, as well as the Cherubimon Good and Evil form, and then you have Ophanimon and Ophanimon Fall Down mode. So out of those technically 6 Digimon, we have 2 represented in the DIM cards, and that would be Cherubimon, both Good and Evil, which you can currently get on the Terriermon DIM card. So pretty cool that they are represented, but it would be really good to see Seraphimon or Ophanimon. I was kind of expecting the Holy Wing upcoming DIM to include either of those, but apparently it does not. So for the time being, Cherubimon obtained on the Terriermon DIM. Next on the list are the 7 Deadly Digimon. Of the 7 Deadly Digimon, there are 3 of them represented in the various DIM cards. Going through all of them, we have Lucemon Chaos Mode, Leviamon, Daemon, Belphamon Rage Mode, Barbamon, Beelzemon, and Lilithmon. So pretty cool evil Digimon. If you've played Cybersooth, you will have had to fight off the 7 Deadly Digimon, and I think they also appear in like Digimon World Next Order, things like that. So going through the 3 that are represented, starting off with Lucemon Chaos Mode. He can be obtained as an ultimate in the Lowermon DIM card. So Lowermon, part of the Digimon Frontier group of DIMs, and there was a very interesting path with Lucemon Chaos Mode being at the end as an ultimate, which is very unusual because every ultimate, as far as I'm aware of, in every DIM card can evolve to Mega. So pretty cool that Lucemon stops at ultimate. It would have been nice if we had the final form of Lucemon in this DIM, but alas, it is what it is. Next, you can obtain Belphamon Rage Mode in the Dragonic Blaze DIM, so a recent B memory addition. Pretty cool that you can get Belphamon Rage Mode, he's pretty savage. And finally, Beelzemon. You can technically get Beelzemon in different forms on other DIMs. For example, Dynasty of the Evil, I believe, includes Beelzemon from Digimon Cross Wars. But if you want the bog standard Beelzemon with no bells and whistles, then the only place to get him is on the Impmon GP DIM. I imagine that Beelzemon in some form will be released in other DIMs because he's a very popular Digimon, but for now, you can only get Beelzemon regular on the Impmon DIM. Moving further up the list, we have the Olympus 12, a very popular group with every Digimon being based on a Greek god. So going down the list, we have Apollomon, Bacchusmon, Ceresmon, Dianamon, Junimon and Jupitermon, as well as Marsmon, Marukimon, Minervamon, Neptunemon, Venusmon and Volcanusmon. So of the 12 Olympus 12, 5 of them are represented in the Vital Bracelet memories, which is pretty cool. And some of these Digimon are some of the coolest designs, and certainly some of the most unusual designs, I guess is one way of putting it. But of the 5 that you can get, you can find them in the following dims. If you manage to get your hands on the Rampage of the Beast B memory, which came in a 2-pack with Dragonic Blaze, you can actually get yourself 3 of the Olympus 12. You can get Apollomon, Dianamon and Marsmon all on this one little memory, so that's pretty cool. It's worth noting you can also find Marsmon on the Volcanic Beat dim. Marukimon is the next one that you can obtain, and he can be found on True Shadow Howl. And finally, Neptunemon, as you probably could have guessed, can be found on the Infinite Tide dim, which is very fitting. So for the Olympus 12, we've got 5 out of 12, pretty good going. Next on the list are the Royal Knights, which of course we're going to feature in this list, and they're pretty high up as well. There are technically 13 Royal Knights if you include Omnimon, which you definitely should. And of the 13 Royal Knights, 9 of them can be obtained in the dimmed cards, which is pretty awesome, so only 4 that we are missing. The Royal Knights include the following Digimon: Alphamon, Craniumon, Crusadermon, Dynasmon, Examon, Gallantmon, Gankumon, Jesmon, Kentorusmon, Leopardmon, Magnamon, Omnimon, and Allforce Vidramon. So some of the most awesome designed Digimon that you can find, some of the big fan favorites, and often appearing in multiple TV shows and games. So they heavily featured in Digimon Data Squad, of course, and they are a big part of the Cyber Sleuth story, so that's pretty cool. Starting out with Alphamon, you can obtain Alphamon in the upcoming Dorumon B memory, so not currently available, but will be available very soon. Next up is Crusadermon, or Lord Knightmon, and he/she can be obtained on the Ferrymon dim card, part of the Digimon Frontier set. Dynasmon can be obtained on the Chakmon dim card. Dynasmon's really cool, although he's always the one that I forget out of the Royal Knights, so, you know, no offense. Examon, a pretty awesome Digimon, can be obtained on the Draconic Blaze dim as a Jogress evolution, which is pretty cool. Gallantmon can be obtained in 2 places. We have the Geomon GP and the Geomon EX dims. Gallantmon in its regular form can be obtained in both of these, as well as alternate forms such as Crimson Mode and Chaos Gallantmon and things like that. Another addition from Draconic Blaze, you can find Jesmon in this dim card, and I recently raised him and he is really awesome. Going back to an old school dim now, we have Ancient Warriors, which is currently the only place that you can get Magnamon. So really awesome Digimon exclusive to an exclusive dim. Omnimon can pretty much be obtained on multiple dim cards. Of course, you've got Dinosaur Roar and Wolf Howl, which were released with the Vital Hero in the US. I don't have those right now, but what I do have are the Agumon and Gabumon EX dims, where if you get a Wargreymon and a Metal Garurumon, you can Jogress to make Omnimon. So that's your best shout to get him. Then finally, we are back to Ancient Warriors, as it is currently the only place that you can get Allforce Vidramon. So interesting that he wasn't included in the Imperial Dramon B memory, but that was just a trial memory, so it's cool that at least they are represented somewhere. So Royal Knights, 9 out of 13, currently in the lead, looking pretty good, but we've got more to go. Third from the top, we have the Legend Arms Digimon. So these Digimon are all part of the same group. You've got the Zubamon line, so Zubamon, Zubaigamon, Duramon, Durandamon, as well as Ludomon, Teoludamon, Rajaludamon, Briarludamon, and then the Jogress evolution of Ragnarlordmon. Now, you do also technically have Armamon and Spartamon in this group, so because of that, we have 9 out of the 11 Legend Arms currently available in dim cards, and that would be because they released Legend Arms specific dims. So we have the Ryudamon and the Espimon line, which includes Zubamon and Duramon as the Zubamon and Ludomon as alternative rookies in these sets. So 9 out of the 11 Legend Arms. I guess you could technically count all of them if you ignored Armamon and Spartamon, but I'm going to be difficult. That's where you can find them. So pretty cool that they were pretty much completely represented in these dims. Our final two groups are 100% represented by the Dims, which is pretty awesome. We're going to start in the number 2 spot with the smaller of the two groups, and that is the Devas. Now, you could argue that the Sovereigns should have been included in the Deva group, but I was going to keep them separate because then that lets this one be at the top of the list, and also it's because they aren't arguably evolving into the Sovereigns. It's just kind of like a link between the two. If you've watched Digimon Tamers, then you will know the link between the Devas and the Sovereigns, which is a pretty cool series. If you've not watched it, you should watch it. Now, there are 12 Devas, and they are as follows: Mihiramon, Antilamon, Majiramon, Sandiramon, Indramon, Pajiramon, Makuramon, Sinduramon, Katoramon, Vikaramon, Kambiramon, and Vajramon. Try saying that 12 times. As I mentioned, these Digimon are 100% represented in the Dim card, and you can find them as follows. In the Gyomon EX card, you can find Mihiramon, Majiramon, Sandiramon, and Vajramon. In the Terriermon Dim card, you can of course find Antilamon, as well as Pajiramon, Makuramon, and Sinduramon. And finally, in the Renamon Dim card, you can find Indramon, Katoramon, Vikaramon, and Kambiramon. So out of the 3 Tamer Dims, you can obtain all 12 of the Devas, which is awesome. These are obviously Ultimate Digimon as well, which makes it easier for them to be represented on Dim cards, but still, that's our number 2. Let's have a look at our number 1. And finally, in our number 1 slot, you probably could have guessed if you have a good knowledge of Digimon, and that is the Legendary Warriors group. The Legendary Warriors are based on the Digimon Frontier anime, which included the entire series centered around the Legendary Warriors, with the children being part of the Legendary Warriors and then the bad Digimon being the other half, and all coming together and all sorts of stuff. There are loads of evolutions, pre-evolutions, different forms of these Digimon, and the Legendary Warriors group technically comprises 42 Digimon, 100% of which are represented in the Dim cards, to nobody's surprise. Now, there was a release on Premium Bandai which included 6 of these Legendary Warrior Dim cards, that being these 6 Dims here. So we have Agnemon, Blitzmon, and Wolfmon, as well as Ferrymon, Chakmon, and Lowermon. Now, I did actually record a video where I opened these and had a look at them in depth back when they released in, I believe, October of 2022, but I, for some reason, got a copyright strike on the video, and also the audio didn't record properly, so in the end, I decided to just drop that video. So I do have these, I just haven't mentioned in recent videos, that's all. So, talk about the Legendary Warriors. As I said, there are 42, and they are all spread out amongst these various Dims. So we're going to go through all the Dims and what you can find on them. So there are 10 Legendary Warriors, and there are 6 Dims. So you have 4 of the Dims include 2 sets of the Warriors, and then the other 2 Dims only include 1 set, and then some other things. So if we start off, we have the Warriors of Flame. They are represented on the Agnemon EX Dim card, and they are as follows. Starting in the Ancient slot, we have Ancient Greymon. If we look at the Child slot, or the Rookie, I guess, we have Flamemon. In the Human Champion slot, we have Agunimon. And then in the Beast slot, we have Burning Greymon. In this group, you also have a special fusion evolution of Aldamon and a transcendent evolution of Emperor Greymon. Pretty awesome. Now, we're going to come to the Warriors of Light and the Wolfmon Dim in a moment, but if you geogress between Emperor Greymon and Magna Garurumon, you can also get Susanumon, who is technically counted in the 42. The other Legendary Warriors you can find on the Agnemon Dim card are the Warriors of Earth, starting off with the Ancient Volcanomon, moving down to Grumblemon and Gigasmon. So these were sort of like some of the antagonist Digimon in the show, so they are underrepresented as opposed to the children and their evolutions. Moving on to the Wolfmon Dim, we're starting with the Warriors of Light, and they include Ancient Garurumon in the Ancient slot. In the Rookie slot, we have Strabimon, and in the Champion Human slot, we have Lobomon. In terms of Beast evolutions, we have Kendo Garurumon. For a fusion, we have Beowulfmon, and a Transcendent, you have Magna Garurumon. And as previously stated, you can geogress with Emperor Greymon to get Susanumon. Next up, in the Wolfmon EX Dim, you can also get the Warriors of Water, which include Ancient Myrmimon, Ranamon, and Kalmaramon. Moving on to the Blitzmon EX Dim, and we have the Warriors of Thunder, so JP's Digimon and evolutions. So starting off, we have Ancient Beetlemon in the Ancient slot. Moving on to the Human Champion, we have Beetlemon, we have Metal Kabuterimon as the Beast, and then we have Rhino Kabuterimon as the Fusion. Also on this dim are the Warriors of Steel, including Ancient Wisemon, Mercurymon, and Sephirothmon. I have no idea why Ancient Wisemon is a Warrior of Steel. That makes no sense to me, but apparently he is. My favourite dim out of the set is the Ferrymon dim, and on here you have the Warriors of Wind, starting with Ancient Kazimon. In the Champion slot we have Kazimon, and in the Beast slot we have Zephyrmon, and finally Jet Sylphimon doesn't actually appear in the show, but they are the Fusion. We also have the Warriors of Wood on this dim card, so I have actually been using this recently, and I've just got my Ancient Troymon, as you can see. So Warriors of Wood include Ancient Troymon, Arbomon, and Petaldramon. Moving on to the last two dims, we have the Chakmon dim, and on the Chakmon dim you can find the Warriors of Ice, including Ancient Megatherimon, Kumamon, and Korikakimon, as well as Daipenmon. It's worth mentioning that Daipenmon and Ancient Megatherimon can also be found on Blizzard Fang, I believe. And finally, the Lowermon dim card. So Lowermon is interesting because if you've watched the show, he technically has two variants of himself. So there are more Digimon than what you would normally get in one single dim for this guy. So starting off, Warriors of Darkness, we have Ancient Sphinxmon in the Ancient slot. And then in the Human Champion slot, we actually have Lowermon and Duskmon. So Lowermon kind of being the good guy, and then Duskmon being the bad guy. In the Beast slot, we have Jaeger Lowermon and Velgamon. I guess no prizes for guessing which one is the evil one. And then in the Fusion slot, we have Raihimon or Rihimon. I have no idea how to pronounce it. But there we go. In the number 1 slot, we have the Legendary Warriors, 100% representation, 42 out of 42 available Digimon on these 6 dims. This is a really cool set. If you've watched Digimon Frontier and you are a fan of the evolutions, then I would definitely recommend finding this set. It comes in 2 sets of free, and they can be obtained on Premium Bandai or alternatively by going to resellers like Zenin TCG. That's everything for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, and I hope we can start to fill in some of the gaps very soon. Specifically, I think the Royal Knights and the Olympus 12 need more representation because they are some of the most common groups and they are definitely missing. And yeah, I expect them to be filled in very soon. But that's everything for me. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.